Hi, this is Joe again with another review. For the sake of this video, we'll be discussing the 2019 film, Jumanji: The Next Level. Now, of course, this film is, the direct sequel to the previous Jumanji film. It was subtitled Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Of course, this film pretty much has the same cast of characters as in the previous film. You had Dwayne The Rock Johnson, you had the hot girl showed up for her tummy through most of the previous film. They're all pretty much back at Jack Black. You had the same cast, except they have a couple of additions in this cast compared to the previous film, because you had a couple of extra characters, they could fool around with, and there was Danny DeVito, played Spencer's grandfather, in the film. You had Danny Glover, and you also had Bebe Neuwirth. Well, Bebe Neuwirth, she was only in one scene in this film, but I'm a fan of Bebe Neuwirth, so I figured to mention her, even though she's only in one scene in this film. But she was not in the video game portion, which was most of this film. Now, of course, this film, Jumanji: The Next Level, kind of reminds me of the Chronicles of Narnia series, which came out in the early 2000s. With even though technically I am comparing Jumanji, which is a fictional video game movie franchise, to a children's book series, which came out. Even though it was only a 5-book series, only 3 of them were made into films by Disney. But it has a similar kind of a feel when they go back to the world of Jumanji. Same thing with the Chronicles of Narnia, when they went back 2 more times, and it's implied that probably for a 3rd time they're going to go back again for probably a 3rd film, kind of like the Chronicles of Narnia series, when they went back. They went to Narnia 3 times. Same thing here. With Jumanji, you can tell it's going to be a 3rd film after Jumanji: The Next Level. Anyway, the reason why that they went back to the video game, even though technically they should not have come back, if they just made the one movie, Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, and they left it at that would have been, fine. They did kind of like, the previous film. I did do a review on that, so check it out on my channel for those of you who have never seen it. And I said this movie was fine, with a good beginning, middle, and end. And Jumanji: The Next Level, you gotta understand, because the previous film made a pretty good chunk of change, and it was pretty well received by the critics and the viewers who went to see that movie when it came out. So I figured, hey, let's make a sequel. I'm going to go back into the video game. And then just add Danny DeVito and Danny Glover into the mix. Which, those characters were totally unnecessary. You want to talk about unnecessary characters, is those two. I like Danny DeVito. I kind of mainly like Danny Glover for the Lethal Weapon franchise. But they're totally unnecessary in this movie. Total waste of those two actors. And the reason is because the 2 of them are supposed to be, like I said, Danny DeVito is supposed to be playing Spencer's grandfather, and Danny Glover and Danny DeVito used to co-own the local restaurant, and the local restaurant in the town where Spencer and his friends and supposed to live in. And Danny Glover decides, I had enough. Like in Lethal Weapon, I'm too old for this shit. He does that. It says it was getting long in the tooth, and he decides to retire. And he sold his part of the diner, and Danny DeVito also felt that Danny Glover betrayed him and stuff. So there's a little bit of tension and rivalry going on there with those 2 characters. And so all of a sudden, Danny DeVito is living with Spencer and his daughter, which is Spencer's mother, because he had recent hip surgery. So he's there convalescing in the house, and Danny Glover comes over to see him because he heard he wasn't doing well, and the two of them still hate each other. And Danny DeVito hates Danny Glover because of what Danny Glover did. That was sold the business. And so you had that going on. So Spencer, who was in college, most of the characters were already in college already. And Spencer comes home from Christmas break, and he is depressed because he is back being the average dorky guy. And that's why I made a comparison with the Chronicles of Narnia movie, because Peter, who was the oldest one in the four siblings, he felt, hey, in Narnia I was a king. I kicked ass. Now I'm back to the average humdrum, boring life of Peter the schmuck. Peter the schmuck. Well, he was a schmuck, but it was the average Peter school guy. And in Narnia, I was a king. I kicked butt. I was the highest king, in Narnia. I kicked butt, and I won the big battle. I helped kill the White Witch, and in Narnia and all that stuff. Now I'm back to just being the average schmo, and that's why Spencer was going through the same thing. So they rehashed that part of the Narnia series into Jumanji, and that's what Spencer is dealing with. So he happens to, instead of throwing because as we know at the end of Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, Spencer and the gang there, they destroyed the video game. So there's no way that there could be them or someone else that got sucked back into the video game of Jumanji. There's no way that's going to be possible anymore because they destroyed it. Well, Spencer decides to fix up the game and see if he can repair it to go back in. And guess what happens? He will get sucked back in. So now the rest of the gang, who was supposed to meet up at the local diner, like I mentioned earlier, they're wondering where's Spencer? Where is he at? And they go back to Spencer's house, and they found out that Spencer kept the video game Jumanji and tried to repair it, and one other or the smoking hot girl presses the button, and they all got sucked in, except for Bethany. There was another girl, Bethany, I forgot her. She was also kind of hot, but kind of snobby. The snobby girl. She, for some reason, she didn't get sucked back in. Everyone else did, because the game, since it was broken, and Spencer tried to repair it, but didn't repair it 100%. So not all of them got sucked back into the game, but eventually, Bethany did get sucked back into the video game, like later on, and she became a horse. I am not kidding. Her avatar was a horse character, and Spencer was another character in the video game, and Danny DeVito was sucked in as The Rock, Dwayne Johnson's avatar. Got sucked into his avatar, and Danny Glover was the zoologist. The Jack Black, the black character was Danny Glover. I mean, it's weird that they didn't change the racial thing for Danny Glover. I guess because Danny Glover hates white people, actually. So because of that, it didn't change into one of the white characters. It would be fitting for him, by the way. He gets picked into the avatar of the characters supposed to be the zoologist, and so the characters were switched up. And Spencer was a woman, another woman character in the world of Jumanji. But then at one point they go into the river, and in the previous film, when they did that before, the characters got switched to different bodies. So we figured, if we do that, we switch each other's, we switch to a different avatar because everything gets messed up. So they did that, and they got back into the characters that were in the previous film. So Spencer went back into Dwayne Johnson's being his avatar, and so did all the other characters, except for Danny DeVito and Danny Glover's characters. They get put into the two new characters. One was an Asian girl, and another one was the horse, which I already mentioned. So what happened is, of course, they have to retrieve the stone, I know, talking about this for 10 minutes and we finally get to the plot, or what they're supposed to do when in the world of Jumanji, was they get the stone back and face it to the sun and everything would be okay. So guess what? They do eventually do that in this movie. They get chased by ostriches, which is a homage to Jurassic Park. It was such a homage to the Jurassic Park in that particular scene. We get chased by the ostriches, which I think that was one of the best scenes. To me, there was that and the scene when they're on the bridges, swinging from one bridge to another. I thought that was the two best scenes in this movie. To me, of course, eventually, they get the stone. They made things right into the game, and of course, when they're all about to, all they have to do is say Jumanji, and they all go home. Danny Glover's character finds out during this movie, Danny Glover's character was dying of cancer. So what he decided to do was to have him leave. He decides to stay in the game and not leave with the rest of the characters. And at that point, I figured, okay, maybe Danny DeVito would stay with them as well. So the two of them could stay within the video game and not leave. Well, Danny DeVito decided to go with the rest of the kids to go home with his grandson and stuff, and so which they did. And when they did so, Danny DeVito goes back to the diner which he used to own with Danny Glover's character, and they sees B.B. Newirth, who now runs the restaurant. And that's why I mentioned that B.B. Newirth was only in one scene, and that was the one scene that she was in, was as the manager of the diner. And she says, "Oh, I need help. I had somebody helping me out, and they quit." And I just realized I forgot the spot to shave down this morning. That's why I'm going like this. And the funny thing is that Danny says, "Oh, I could help you out." She goes, "Oh, you want to help me out?" I say, "Yeah, I could help you out." And that's how that, eventually, because I know B.B. Newirth is probably almost 60 years old, I think now. She still looks pretty damn good. For a woman her age, she's still pretty damn good. Still attractive, at least to me. And she's still a spitfire, in my opinion. And of course, all the kids says, "Oh, they're so bummed out that Danny Glover's that they decide not to come along with us, come back home with us." And Spencer says the real reason why Spencer wants to go back to the game is because he feels bad about himself, and here he doesn't. He feels like I made a comparison earlier, like the average schmo. And people says, "Hey," and his girlfriend, who he broke up with, says, "To me, I never felt that you were, because you changed because of the game, and you're still that way with for me. I still have the heart for you." And they kind of reconcile a little bit. It is good because I think she's hot, and so especially when she's dressed up with the midriff showing and stuff. And like I said, that was why I was interested in seeing the movies, because I wanted to see her again. Because the girl who plays the part, I forgot her name. I'm sorry, her name escapes me, but she was hot. She was definitely hot. And to see these cast of characters again in this movie, that was the most entertaining part of not only this movie but the previous Jumanji film, because of the interaction between the characters. They all had great on-screen chemistry, and they all were terrific in this role. As a great action, and these two Jumanji films are great action adventure films, and to me, I think they're fun. They may be the greatest movies in the world. I think Indiana Jones is the greatest action adventure movie series, but this one is almost just as good. And the reason I say almost as good is because it's a video game. It's not anything except for maybe survival fight to get out of the game. That's been the only real motivation for me for these characters to act like that. But Jumanji: The Next Level, I think it's just as good as the previous entry in the Jumanji series. And the funny thing is, I've never seen the original Jumanji movie that came out in 1995 with Robert Williams. I've never seen that one. But these two films I've seen, and I pretty much enjoyed both of them. I do recommend it, and I also recommend you check out my review of the Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle film if you have not seen it. So this is my review of Jumanji: The Next Level. Please click on the video, please rate it. Please subscribe to my channel. Please forward this video to your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews on my YouTube channel at rallyc.com. It's all wdy.c.com. There's the homepage of the Rally Reviewer, Christine Moore, and please check out all of his movies, all of his reviews, I should say, on his website. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.